First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my father into my flat so he slept in his car? I haven't had contact with him since my early childhood. After the separation of my parents, he had a right to see me every second weekend, but he often forgot me or brought me back early because he had other plans, other women, alcohol. After a while, a court ruled in my mother's favor because she couldn't see me being sad and feeling rejected 2 times a month, and we didn't have any contact since then. His drinking problem was also a reason for the court. I moved really far away from home to study. Last week, my father knocked on my door. I have contact with some of his sisters, my aunts, and wrote them cards so he got my address from them. When I opened, I felt so shocked, sad, and angry. He wanted to talk to me, and he pushed himself into my flat. I told him that I don't want him here, and that I don't want to talk to him right now. My boyfriend came from our living room, and he saw how stressed I felt. He told my father to leave our flat because he was not invited. I said to him that he should write me a letter if he has something to say, and I will read it. He said that he drove all the way to my flat, at 7 hours from my hometown, and because of the pandemic, he can't stay at a hotel. I said that he should have thought about it before not expecting to sleep by me. I closed the door. He kept yelling and ringing, but I didn't answer or open the door. My aunts called me angrily 2 days after because he had to sleep in his car. They called me an a-hole for not allowing him in my flat and that I didn't talk to him. I'm not sure if I'm an a-hole. As a child, everything I ever wanted was a caring dad. But as an adult, I learned very painful to give that dream up and be happy without a father. It was too much seeing him without any warning. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Him blowing up and hammering on your door is all I needed to know for that judgment. I would not want some aggressive bloke I don't know stay in my house, even if I did own some of his jeans. It's also ridiculous to drive 7 hours to see someone without calling/writing first, especially because of the COVID. Even if you are good friends with a person, it's common decency not to foist yourself on someone else. He needs to grow up. This, not a a-hole. He is literally a stranger. A strange man who is aggressive and pushed his way uninvited into your home. And you're supposed to let him sleep in it while you're sleeping and vulnerable? Hell no, you're not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You don't owe him anything. He clearly knew you didn't want to see him, or he'd have given you warning he was coming. Exactly what I was thinking. If he really wanted to talk to you and meant things, he would have contacted you before appearing on your doorstep unannounced, Dopey. That basically tells me that he didn't have good intentions, and the way he reacted to you not allowing him in your flat just cements that. I don't know what he wanted, but I'm pretty sure he didn't have your best interest at heart. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. No one could just show up out of nowhere and expect to sleep in your place. Also, why didn't he contact you? Seems like he wanted something from you. I'm glad your boyfriend was there to help you and you stood strong. Good luck, and don't let people get to you and try to guilt trip you. There's COVID, I can't sleep in a hotel. Yet drives 7 hours cross-country at the drop of a hat. He definitely had some ulterior motive. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not asking my dad to let my stepsister stay for a few nights? I, 15 female, have divorced parents. My mom is remarried and her husband has a daughter the same age as me, and we've been a step-family since we were both 7, but we have also never been close. Not even a little. The only time she ever wants me is when she wants some of my stuff, and I don't really want her for anything. So even though we both live in the same house sometimes, she lives with her dad and mom while I split time between my parents. We're not really in each other's lives, unless she wants something. Anyway, my mom and her husband were traveling out of state last month for a few days to see his best friend who was terminally ill. They didn't want to take my stepsister with because she was getting some in-person tutoring as well as distance schooling, and so they wanted my dad to take her for the few days. My mom asked me to ask him, and I told her no. This pissed her off, and when she asked him, he told her no as well. She asked me again and again, so I told her I wouldn't ask and why I wouldn't ask. My mom lectured me about the importance of family and stuff, and then she ended up getting a friend of hers to take her in for the few days. But she and her husband were super pissed because then they of course had to pay. Which I think sucks, that they expect my dad to take in some strange teenager for nothing and open his house to a random tutor during COVID. But you know, it's still an issue, and my mom told me whatever issues we have, we're family. I told her she, stepsister, and I do not like each other, nor care about each other, and that does not make a family. and that trying to force the issue or pretend things are different are not going to change anything. My mom said one day I might need her, and I told my mom I have so many people I would turn to, and that even if I didn't have them, I do not see myself ever looking to stepsister for anything. She then goes off that it's a horrible thing to say, and I was a selfish brat for not asking my dad to take her when things are already so uncertain with COVID and her dad's friend dying. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, and kudos in being able to express that so clearly to your mom. And why can't a 15-year-old stay home alone for a few days? Not the a-hole at all. Your stepfather and stepsister were your mother's choice, not yours, and most definitely not your father's. You and your stepsister are not close and never have been. Your mother expecting you to play a happy family because it makes her life easier is ridiculous. It was wildly inappropriate and entitled for her to involve your father, who has no responsibility for your stepsister. From where does she get the balls you insist that you ask your father for this ridiculous favor and try to make it seem like you're in the wrong? Did she really think that her ex would open his home to her stepchild and do so without payment? Your mother's dead wrong here. Apparently, she has this idea that because her stepdaughter and I are sisters, that my dad should do his best to be open and involved in her life too. Which is so damn weird to me. But hey ho, maybe my dad should be paying support for her or something in my mom's mind. There was a similar issue on my 10th birthday because my dad had me that weekend that day, and he was taking me and my two best friends out, and my mom wanted him to take her too, and pay for her. That is ridiculous. Your father has nothing to do with her new family, and she needs to stop trying to make her ex responsible for her stepdaughter. She also needs to stop putting you in the middle and stop trying to force a relationship between you and your stepsister. Good luck. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my adult cousin that his biological father was a sperm donor when his parents would not? My cousin, Pete, is 10 years younger than me and is my stepdad's brother's son. He moved to college in the same city in which I was living. Pete received a full scholarship to an Ivy League school and was the first in his immediate family to go to college. But he had liberal politics and studied evolutionary biology, which was threatening to the conservative evangelical Christians who raised him. He received no financial support from them and argued with them or did speak to them for months. At the end of his first year, Pete asked to stay with me and my husband during the summer while Pete worked. He stayed that summer, and the next two too. We became very close. At the start of his junior year, Pete needed more money and became a sperm donor. He called his parents asking for family medical history. He told them why he was asking. They were unhappy, but did not dissuade him. During the next year, Pete had bad fights with his father. Pete's father asked him for money. Pete's parents gave their own savings to the church. My stepdad thought that Pete's dad had diagnosed manic depression. His wife, Pete's mother, was passive and did not intervene in how her husband treated their son. I did not know Pete's parents well. Interactions I had with them were restrained because of his father's open judgments on others. Pete was increasingly distraught about his family. Connection with his father was always hard. He is intelligent, well-read, well-traveled, multilingual, and open-minded. His father is not. Pete told me that he was ready to stop talking with his father. At the end of the third summer when he lived with us, he came back upset from his annual short trip back home. His father was so mad about Pete's application to an evolutionary biology PhD program that he had thrown a Bible. In the year prior, my stepdad told me that Pete was donor conceived. Only a few in the family knew, and his parents didn't want him to know. My stepdad's brother had an irreversible vasectomy after an earlier marriage. His mom wanted a child, so they used a sperm donor, and Pete is his mom's only child. I told him, and he was elated. When he called his parents, they denied it before admitting it. His parents were very angry with me for telling him, but I believed that Pete should know true familial medical history. I also believed that this information might explain his emotional distance from his father in a way that could be healing. Pete was grateful that I told him, but his parents hate me for it. He found his donor's family through genetic testing, and he has formed a close bond with his biological family. The shared interests and attitudes between Pete and his paternal biological family are much greater than those between Pete and the family of the man who raised him. Now for the comments. I say not the a-hole, especially in light of his parents' antagonistic attitude towards his education and the possibility of mental instability. A normal person would be concerned about the possibility of having a genetic mental illness and want to be aware of the possibility of inheriting it. You've given your cousin peace of mind regarding mental health/medical history, and he has a right to know, in my opinion. The relationship is not the reason Pete needs to know. Medical history is. Everyone has an absolute right to know their medical history as much as possible. Not a-hole. It wasn't exactly your place to tell him, but given the circumstances, I don't feel like it is appropriate to call you an a-hole. His parents are horrible, especially for not telling him his medical history, so I think you get a pass because of that. I also feel your justifications for their strained relationships don't really line up. The parents are just a-holes. Not a-hole. I'm donor-conceived and was lied to about it. If you had continued to lie, you would have been a party to it. He would have found out eventually, by his blood test, seeing an eye color chart, doing a DNA test for fun, etc. Not to mention the fact that so many people knew and were lying to him. Good for you for not being a party to that. I'm donor-conceived too. It's so rare to find another one of us in the wild. Added to add, I've always known too. My mom was a single mother, so the who's my dad questions came very early for me. For the last story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my husband, then leaving him at the clinic after his prank? Me, female 28, and my husband, male 34, have been married for a year. Before I met him, I got a dog named Ollie, a German Shepherd, that was originally my sister's, but she passed away, and I immediately took him to live with me. My husband adores Ollie, and he sometimes jokes that he's married to me only because of Ollie. He likes making jokes and doing pranks, but some of them are downright nasty. He'd always get me worried by lying saying Ollie ran off when he was hiding him in a place I didn't know about. He knows how much worried and stressed out those pranks make me, but he says my reaction is priceless and worth the yelling/lashing afterwards. Ollie needed to be taken to the veterinary clinic for a checkup. My husband said he'd handled it. During the second visit to get the results, I received a call from my husband, and his voice sounded like he wasn't okay. I asked what was wrong. I got really worried after he said it was about Ollie. I was starting to shake. I kept asking what was going on, and he told me that Ollie's been diagnosed with cancer. He said he wanted me to come over to the clinic as soon as possible because Ollie was with a vet. I couldn't stand. I started asking, is that why Ollie lost weight lately and such? I rushed to the clinic and found my husband standing near the entrance with Ollie. First thing I noticed was him laughing hysterically, telling me that I really bought into his lie. I was confused, so he said it was just a prank. Ollie's perfectly healthy and handed me the results to check. After I checked, I lost it. I lashed out at him. Not gonna lie, I called him awful names, and his face suddenly turned red like he didn't expect me to react that way. He argued that I made it a big deal, obviously, and was being mean to him over a prank that didn't even last an hour. I kept lashing out, and didn't give him a chance to keep talking. Then I took Ollie and the keys and left. I arrived to the clinic in a taxi. I left him at the clinic while me and Ollie went home by the car. 3 hours later, he came back and was upset. He usually laughs even in serious situations, but this time it didn't. He argued that I shouldn't have left him like that, and that I overreacted. Said he was trying to make good memories to look back on and laugh at, but I was unnecessarily overreacting. He stopped talking after that. Just wanted to mention that this started months after his father's passing. His family said he never mentions his dad, nor keep anything of his, although they were very close. I never met his father, but they told me he wasn't suffering from anything, and his death was sudden, and my husband had a hard time processing it. This could be the reason for his behavior. Not a-hole. This isn't a prank. This is abuse. He wanted you to feel like your beloved dog was dying. For his amusement. He laughed at your pain. Even him hiding the dog and saying he ran away is unbelievably cruel. His words aside, I think he's jealous of Ollie. Forget leaving him at the clinic. You should consider leaving his lying, cruel butt entirely. Yes, you're right. I don't know why he keeps joking about serious stuff like that. He once lied to his friend group about their friend dying overseas. Half of the group isn't talking to him anymore because he lied about their close friend's death. It scared them, and it was highly inappropriate, but he kept trying to justify that it was a prank. I don't know why he thinks any of this is okay. I've already warned him and told him to not get all involved in his pranks, but it took me to lose my temper to get him to realize that what he's doing was unacceptable. Wow, that's so incredibly out of line, unimaginably cruel, and legitimately disgusting. He said someone died. Why does it do it? Some people have personal issues that manifest as self-destructive tendencies. That's the most generous read on this situation. The other is that he's a sociopath, utterly lacking in empathy and enjoys causing distress. Either way, the why doesn't matter. He doesn't care about his why. He's having fun and enjoying himself, causing deep heartbreak and trauma to people. What will it take for you to have enough? Will it take him calling your parents and telling them you died as a prank for the memories? Or maybe he will just tell them that you have cancer. He has a pattern of destructive behavior. It doesn't even sound like he recognizes that much, let alone be willing to change. I'm seriously concerned for you and Ollie. He literally sounds like a monster. The dog you adore ran away. Kidding. No, I actually took it to the vet, and the vet says it has cancer. Not really. Christ, what a nahal. Say this. Sweetie, I apologize for overreacting. I love you. Kidding. Get the hell out. Not nahal. Opie should have told him leaving him at the vet was a prank and he was overreacting. Jesus freaking Christ. I hate people like Opie's husband. Is he 12? Wait, that's offensive to 12 years old. Opie, I'm not issuing any judgments because I'm concerned. Your husband sounds like he's escalating. I would get the dog out of the house if possible. Good memories? That makes my skin crawl. Remember the time you thought your beloved pet was dying? Haha, good times. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.